if you are the owner. You're not important. The dishwasher is important.
Yeah.
The busser is important. The people that greet your staff every day, they're important. They're the heart of the operation.
Hello and welcome back to the Few Podcast. This is episode 13, season 2. I'm Robert Schein, the host, with my co-host
Madison Evans. Welcome back, everyone.
There's Madison. Welcome back. We got to work her in, on these interviews. I think we're going to reformat for next year or next season.
Next season.
So we can all have some fun when we're doing the interviews. I'm just the only one having fun here, I guess. So we're going to have fun today, Madison, with just a great locally owned third generation run restaurateur, Madalyn Botello. It's a great story. Wally's Desert Turtle in Rancho Mirage, California. If you haven't been, it's fantastic. I know you and we've all been there, and we're looking forward to going back. But Madalyn's story and her journey is something to we're going to have some fun.
Yes, I'm excited to hear from her. She's a young woman. She's running her own business. Like you said, she's taken on her family's business, which is really impressive. She went to Cornell. She's just an impressive person. So I'm excited to hear from her.
So excited that we have Madalyn Botello in our studio today for the Few Podcast. Hello, Madalyn.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Our audience is so excited because you run probably the best restaurant in the Valley in Rancho Mirage, California. It's a family-long tradition, but you've taken it over in a sense where you've taken it to new heights. And it hasn't been easy. There's been ups and downs. We're going to get into that today. But we want to kind of go back before we get there and learn about Madalyn.
Okay, here we go.
So are you a native of the Coachella Valley? Born
and raised.
Not many people born and raised and then come back here. So that's going to be a journey in itself. So you're born and raised. You must have seen some growth in the Valley here.
Tons of growth. It is just a completely different place than when I was growing up here.
And it's exciting too. We've been out here for over 25 years. Me specifically, my wife wasn't born here. She was born in St. Louis, but at 3 months they relocated here to the Coachella Valley. So she's technically almost grown up here her entire life, and she's seen it. And it's great because we have so much to offer in the Valley now. We're in the middle of festival season, so that's bringing all of our kids back for the weekends and all their friends and all that fun stuff. But the Valley growth has just been tremendous. And it's great to see that. And it's great to see what your restaurant has done. Tell me about the restaurant first. Tell me about, what your specialty is and where you guys are located and what you guys, really dial in on.
Perfect. Well, Wally's Desert Turtle is the name, and it has a funny name. People always ask about it. It was started in 1978 by my grandfather. We call ourselves now a modern California cuisine, kind of fine dining establishment. But it started as a French restaurant primarily, and because he had a French chef. And so that was what he kind of envisioned for this restaurant, and we have continued to keep it the same. The interior was designed by Stephen Chase, and a really acclaimed designer out here, specifically in the Coachella Valley, but also, nationwide as well. He was an Architectural Digest, but he did a lot of homes specifically in the Valley. And this was the only commercial building he ever did. So we have kept it completely intact the way he had it. And it is just a really special place because so many people have dined there over the years, like Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack, and people continue to, of course, join us. So it's really a special place.
Oh, there's so much history there. And I love how it's so preserved.
Yes, me too.
And it kind of takes you back, right?
It really does.
It takes you into a different world. The food is phenomenal, second to none. That's why we love going there. But let's go back to growing up in the Coachella Valley, and you immerse yourself in the restaurant business, right? What inspired you down that career path of where you are today? How did you get there? Because didn't start that way, did it?
So when my grandfather passed away in 1985, my dad had to take over the restaurant business. He was on his way to get his PhD in horticulture, which is plants, and had worked in my grandfather's restaurants because my grandfather had 25 restaurants at one point. He had the acclaimed Velvet Turtle chain, which is what we're known for, which is why we're called the Desert Turtle, to pay homage to his chain. But then he had also other restaurants. He had taco stands. He had, diners. So he really was a restaurateur. And so my dad grew up kind of working with my grandfather, just like helping him out. But really when my grandfather passed, that's when my dad took over the restaurant. And that's how we made our living. So I was working there from a very young age. I was always hostessing on all the holidays or helping my dad with offsite events. Because that's where we had family dinner. So most kids would go home and, they would have dinner at their house. We did not have dinner at our house. We had dinner at the restaurant because that was really the only way we could, see my parents and be together as a family. So I have always grown up. I don't know anything different. And so it kind of inspired me to do hospitality, go into hospitality. I never really wanted to go into restaurants per se. I never saw that as my future. It's just so fast paced and it's really hard sometimes to connect with your customers. Luckily for us, we have such a loyal following and so many people that continue to return so we can build those relationships. But in most restaurants, it's really hard because it's really just like you get that 2 hours of dining, you try to make it work, you try to make it perfect, and sometimes things just go terribly wrong. But then sometimes you really can connect with people. But I really found my love for hospitality just seeing my family run the business, making those relationships. And I realized, oh, this is a career I could do. And I love to travel. So hotels was really my main focus.
Well, that's what you did in college, right? Hospitality management at Cornell University.
Yes, I did.
How was that experience? How was learning about the hospitality world?
It was pretty eye-opening. I think for myself, I saw my parents run a business. I thought I knew kind of what the business side entailed. Yeah. And then I went to college and I'm like, oh, this is really difficult. You have to learn all these different aspects, financial statements, and there's so much that goes into running a restaurant. And I think it was just really fun to learn every aspect of the hospitality industry. And really, Cornell is the hospitality school is really a business school, but it has a focus of hospitality. So everything is brought back to a practical aspect of, they would use examples of like how you would read a financial statement in a hotel per se. So it was really nice because it was something I was really excited about. I love hotels. I love to travel. And so my education was really pretty much focused around that. So, which is really nice.
That's fantastic. So you're at Cornell, you complete hospitality management. And after that, you're on to the Four Seasons?
Yes. I got accepted into the Four Seasons Manager and Training Program. And they sent me to DC. So it's a year-long program. I loved it. And I knew it was so fun. I had the best time. The best people I've ever worked with and for are from Four Seasons. I just love them so much. I had an amazing opportunity and it was fantastic training. We dealt with a very high-end clientele and every day was a different day there. And with the manager and training program, you work in every aspect of the hotel. So I did the rooms division. So I worked in the front desk, I worked in housekeeping, and then I worked in reservations. So it was a great program. And then I got hired full-time there to be a hotel assistant manager at the front desk. And that's where my kind of career really started. So
you're, loving life, you're assistant manager at the Four Seasons. What happens next?
So I thought my career would be with them forever. I started doing task force with them, so I got to travel to different properties, and that's where I really saw what I wanted to do for my future. I really wanted to travel. I really wanted to work in different properties. I loved helping out, especially on task force, because it's like you get kind of thrown into a whole operation and you kind of figure out how you can be successful. So I thought that was my end goal, right? I really wanted to be like a general manager of a hotel at Four Seasons specifically, and I wanted to travel the world.
And what year is this?
That was 2020 when I moved back to the desert. So I was working actually in Lanai at the property in Four Seasons, and I was in housekeeping department there, and they were talking about this coronavirus and how we have to clean specifically for this virus, and it just didn't really feel like it was anything. It kind of felt like it was a cold, that they were kind of talking about it. And then I got on a plane to go back to DC for my, real job. That's where I was stationed, where my apartment was. And everything was totally normal. And then things just started to escalate. And
this is like March of 2020.
This is March of 2020. Okay. Yeah. And I just came the hotel really, I mean, we have all international clients in DC. So many people come all over the world, just totally shut down. Yeah. There was no one coming into the hotel. We went to a very, very small staff, and I was one of those staff members. And my family was here. My dad had put the restaurant up for sale in September of 2019. He put the restaurant up for sale.
September of 2019. That's the worst timing of all time.
Worst timing of all time. He told everyone it was his farewell season. Oh, wow. He put a huge article in Palm Springs Life and the Desert Sun. We promoted it. My parents were so excited to retire. They were getting ready to move back to Hawaii. So it was a really exciting time for them. And I think they were really, it was a bittersweet moment, but I think he was just finally excited to really let the restaurant go. Because he worked in the restaurant his whole life, really. I mean, his whole career for his dad. And so it was really not his passion, and but he did it for his father. And it was exciting to kind of say goodbye to it. He deserved it. He worked really, really hard. Yeah. So it was a really exciting time for our family as well. I mean, my parents were finally going to retire. They were going to go live their dream in Hawaii. And then March happened. My poor dad. He was so sad, and he was just couldn't believe that this is what was happening. He finally put up for sale. He was starting to get offers, but nothing was really felt like the right offer. And then, of course, nobody wants to buy a restaurant in COVID. Wow. So it
changed everything.
Totally changed everything.
So you're in DC. Your parents are, your dad's looking at the sunset retirement world, and just hanging it up for working, his whole life.
Yeah, 30, 40 years he was there. Yeah.
That's crazy. So walk me through the remainder of that, next couple of years. What happened? Did you stay in DC?
I didn't stay in DC. I got a call from my sister, and she told me I needed to come home. And so my dad told me, you're not coming home. He didn't want me to make the same decision that he made for his father. So he told me, don't come home. I don't want you here. Go live your life. Go do what you need to do. He knew how much I loved working for the company, and I loved DC too. I love that. I love that city. Great city. And my sister called me after we had already had this conversation about coming home, and he told me no. And she said, I want you to come home. I need you to come home. And I said, okay, I'm on my way. So I packed up my apartment in 3 days. I found a roommate, luckily in COVID, to take over my apartment, so I didn't have to break my lease because my tenants were so awesome. And I moved back. And I remember they were thinking of shutting down domestic flights. And so it was kind of a sense of urgency when I told my boss that I thinking of going home. He was like, I think you should go now because I think they're going to shut down domestic flights. And I was like, really? You don't think I should give it a couple weeks? He's like, no. He's like, go now.
You got to go.
And so I did. And I got on the plane, and my dad was so mad that I came home. But now he's of course, very excited. Because he realized it's really, truly my passion, and I love the hospitality industry. So it really wasn't a sacrifice.
So you're home with your family. Your sister calls you home. Your dad says, stay where you are, live your life.
Yeah.
But you return, and you're there for your family. You're also, at the same time you came home, wasn't your mom sick as well?
She was sick. She ended up passing away the next year. And so it was a huge blessing that I came home. I got to spend that time with her that I never would have gotten back.
That's crazy.
So it was, I give it all to my sister. She knew. Yeah.
As you don't know how life's going to take their turns, or where you're going to be placed, or what I always say that, we make plans and God laughs, right?
Yes.
And
100%.
you have to be there for your family. And it's
Definitely.
Such a great story that you're there. So now you're in the middle of COVID. You're there with your family. We're all trying to make heads or tails of what's going on with the world. And you were able to add your expertise right out of the gate, help your family, help your dad with just coming up with, how we navigate through COVID as a restaurant. Tell me about that.
It was challenging. Luckily, the community out here is so incredible. We are in Rancho Mirage. We're based in Rancho Mirage. The city of Rancho Mirage could not be more business friendly, I believe. They're amazing. Yeah. And they kind of knocked on our door. They sent us an email saying there's this senior meal program, and we're going to fund it. and we're going to deliver senior meals to people that are, immune compromised and can't go out of their house. Yeah. And do you want to participate? We're going to pay you this much money and start preparing these meals. And if you want to make even more, then you can deliver it. So I was like, yeah, of course we're going to do that. So I was able to bring back staff members. We started doing meals. We did breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Wow.
We delivered, I think it was 3 days a week, but honestly, it's so long ago, I can't really remember. But we delivered, every week to these different homes, and we had the full meals. We would prepare for them, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it was really just an incredible program. And that's kind of what got us back on our feet, because it was constant money coming in. And we had a takeout business, but our food, it's so hard to take out our food. Yeah. It's really not food that travels well. It's really meant to be dined in a restaurant.
For sure.
So the takeout program was small, but we did it. And this Great Plates program that the city of Rancho Mirage put on really just brought our business back. It was incredible.
So smart. It's a very smart, well-run city, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. They were great.
They look out for their,
We're so grateful for them. We really are.
That's great.
Yes.
So the Great Plates program sort of helped you guys, also retain, those employees that have been with you, I would imagine, for almost decades, right?
Yeah, 20 plus years, most of my employees have been with us.
Helping them and having them have a job, and then their families, and putting food on their table through this time. Wow, I don't think anybody really knows that story and how, you guys work through that, which was fantastic.
Yes.
Even through a situation.
Definitely.
This episode is brought to you by Schein Wealth Management. Serving the Coachella Valley for the first 40 years and built for the next 40 years. And for more information about Schein, it's BlankyScheinWealthManagement.com. So now you're, completely integrated in running and helping out and every which way at Wally's. How was that received inside, Wally's and theoretically you had more experience than your dad did at the same age, mm-hmm. respectively. And so you have so much to give and so much to contribute. What did you do? Where did you start? What did you do in terms of rolling up your sleeves? And, how did you add, value from your perspective for that business?
Yes. Well, I thought it was going to be a disaster because most of my staff had been with my family for 20 plus years. And then I come in and I was involved in the restaurant growing up, but they knew me as a little girl.
That's true. Huh?
And then I left right after right after high school. I got on the plane the day after I graduated high school. I was on the plane for an internship. I was out of here and I didn't look back. So they didn't really see me come back very often. They would maybe see me come back for a couple holidays. And I'd work on the holidays, of course, but that was it. That's all they really knew of me as a grown-up. So I thought it was going to be kind of a nightmare. And my dad I really wanted to do this for my dad and really not have him come back to the restaurant. I wanted him to really take his retirement. Yeah. So I really tried not to rely on him as much. And when I started, we built an outside patio. So we opened our patio. We made it.
I remember
figured
that.
It out. Yeah, it was great. We took everything outside. It was crazy, but we did it and it was successful. And so that's kind of how I started my career at Wally's, is everything was outside. No one knew, nothing was traditional, nothing made sense. So it kind of worked in my favor because everyone was just kind of looking for leadership and looking for, they didn't have any, it wasn't like they were doing the same thing that they'd always done. So it was a perfect opportunity to show my kind of leadership style and to bring them back because they thought the restaurant was closing. So then I told them, I'm here to stay. I'm going to bring this back. We're going to do this together. And everyone rallied behind me. And I learned a lot from working at Four Seasons because I always worked with people that were older than me and had been there. Four Seasons also has like an amazing way of keeping people for a long time. So I'd always worked with very senior staff. And I just realized that if you just pretend that, not pretend, but if you just say like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing here. What do you think we should do? Get them involved and like realize that they are the experts in a lot of ways because yes, I'm educated. Yes, I worked at a great company, but I had never worked at Wally's and I had never worked in a pandemic or outside.
No one
has. So it was like, don't come in acting like you know it all. You have this fancy education and you can do it all. I was just like, okay, guys, what are we going to do? This is my plan. What do you guys think? That's
great leadership skills though. I mean, just to get the buy-in, having the humility and the ability to say, you know what, you have the experience, how has this been done?
Yeah.
And then you can overlay sort of your insight or you work through it together. That's such great training.
We worked together. And that was really the only way we survived. We just did it together.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm grateful. My staff is
But it's also great leadership from you. I mean, you immediately just saw that opportunity. I can only imagine so many are just wondering, I wonder if I'm even going to have a job,
Totally.
And I've worked for this, let's say for Wally's for 20 plus years, and to have somebody say from your fresh perspective, your management background, obviously some great quality skill sets, but that leadership mentality of let's do this. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yes. Thank you. It was great.
So it was successful, but there was, doubts. Doubts maybe in your own leadership style or doubts in sort of how this was all going to shake out, right? Tell us about that.
I think that sometimes, especially an old school way of dealing with leadership is to be assertive and to be very hard. It's never been my way of being a leader. And I think I learned that really from my mentor at Four Seasons is, he was a gentleman who just really led with empathy. And I always thought that was so interesting because I think you see so many people they're that really hard, structure, can't break him. Everyone freaks out when they walk in the room because they're trying to do something, they're acting like they're doing something because they're afraid. And so I brought that to my business because this was now mine. And I think it was received in a lot of ways really great. And I think it was received in a lot of ways where people thought I was weak and not that people were walking all over me. And I think that it's such an interesting take when you hear someone tell you, that, they're walking all over you. And I would look at them and I'd be like, let them. If that's how they want to work, that's fine. And then they'll show their true colors and then we'll let them go.
Right.
And that is just the thing is I don't want to walk into a restaurant where everyone's scurrying around me, pretending like they're doing their job. And then when I look back, they're not doing it. So I want to build a level of respect. I think when I come to any business, when I worked at a business, I just wanted to be seen and felt like, hey, I have an ability to help this company and I'm a part of this place. If I'm not here, this place can't function. And I think that is the best part about restaurants and hospitality is that every single person is so important to the business. It doesn't matter if you're the manager, if you're the head chef, if you are the owner, you're not important. The dishwasher is important.
Yeah.
The busser is important. The people that greet your staff every day, they're important. They're the heart of the operation. So if they don't feel respected and they don't feel like they want to be here and they don't drink the Kool-Aid of hey, let's make Wally's super successful, and they're just afraid of you, it didn't work for me, and I didn't think it was going to work for the restaurant. And I still wholeheartedly believe that.
That's great. So what you're pointing out is culture.
Yeah,
culture is
everything.
It starts with the leadership, top down, but everyone, right? And you see that as a leader, which is who's most important. We're all most important. We all have to have that level set mindset as a team because we are representing, again, who we are. In this case, it's Wally's. That's
Definitely.
Great. You're a great culture builder, and that's one of the most important things to be a successful business owner and entrepreneur. So I can definitely see that, and that's what you brought to the table. But what might not have been always easy, right? So let's say, did you have a Chef Ramsay in the kitchen you had to dust up with? I mean, it's male dominated when you get to sort of different aspects of, being a restaurant owner or operator. And I'm sure some of the chefs, I don't know the Wally chefs, I'm sure they're fantastic, but we only know the chefs that we see on TV and a lot of them have egos, right? So, did you have any exciting stories there or things that you had challenges with? It wasn't all roses and welcome, welcome, Madalyn and let's all get together, kumbaya, right?
I think the interesting part really was hiring new people.
Oh, that's interesting.
The people that I, our executive chef, Alan Lopez, he started with us when he was, oh my God, I think he was like 18. He was the dishwasher, and he's been with us forever. He trained under our original chef. And he was the one I was really nervous about. I was like, oh my God, this guy's going to eat me alive. Right. And, no, he was so supportive. I think we work really well as a team.
That's great.
But it was the new people that we would bring in, and thinking I would, hire great people and think I knew what I was doing, and try to like go with, people's recommendations and not really following my gut, but kind of just, okay, they're good in the desert. Like, let's just go with that. Again, it was like I wasn't hiring for the culture. I was hiring for what I thought. I was trying to listen to everyone else and kind of not know what the restaurant industry out here was like, and really hospitality in general. And so my dad never had to hire anyone new. I mean, he had the same people forever. He never had to hire a new chef. I mean, he had to hire a couple of new chefs, but really we had the same chefs for most of the whole time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Never had to hire a GM until later on in his career. Never had to hire a host manager. She stayed with us literally until a couple of years ago. So he never had to hire anyone new. And so when I'm like losing people or I'm letting people go, I'm looking at him like, what do you think we should do? And he's just like, I don't know. I've never had to hire anyone new. So it's really, I think the interesting part was hiring new people and trying to figure out if they were the right fit. Because it was the thing is they look at me and they're like, okay, she's young. She's just this girl that took over her family's restaurant. She's not going to work hard. She's not going to be here, and it just wasn't the case. So I think our staff really weeds people out. And it's kind of like almost, we hate to say that, and it's all like a mafia mentality sometimes. And I'd be like, guys, you need to relax. Like, let's just see how this guy does before we like chase him out of the restaurant. Because they just won't.
They what's great is they all have ownership.
They do.
Right. An ownership mentality. Again, it's culture, and they have a love for it.
Yeah.
Which speaks about your family, your dad, and how he's looked after them and how you're looking after it now. How's the conversation with your dad today? Do you call him for advice? And, if so, how often? You guys talk shop, right?
Yeah. Oh, we always talk shop. He has lots of opinions. But what I love most about the way I was raised and the way my father is he really gives me full reign. And he's never questioned my abilities or questioned my choices. He's always just like gives nuggets here and there. And sometimes I listen and sometimes I don't. And then I learn my lesson. But most of the time he really is super supportive. I honestly, like a lot of people talk horror stories about working with family. Luckily for me, my dad really wanted out. So it was great. He was just like, you take it, you run with it.
Does he dine at the restaurant from time to time?
Oh yeah, he's always there. He's having dinner.
That's good.
So
that's awesome.
Dinner. He deserves it.
Well, you'll have to introduce me.
Definitely.
At some point in time when Jenica and I are there, it'll be fun to say hello. That'll be great. So in our Women in Power series and in our Feud podcast, we always get to the heart of, what it's like to, be in your shoes, if you will. And I'm sure you encounter this in our world today, our society today, our culture today. As an example, a few weeks back, we had the mayor, and she told this story about, she was there at an event and they introduced the mayor, and the gentleman turns around and her husband was with her.
Yeah.
And he goes to shake his hand, who is not the mayor.
Yes.
So I'm sure, they always look, I'm sure you've had story here or there from time to time being a business owner, strong woman leader, but then culture just doesn't necessarily see you that way or sees through you from time to time. Do you see that every once in a while?
I would say I see it a lot more than people realize, but I don't think it comes from people being not really thinking I can't handle it or that I'm actually not, capable. I think it's kind of natural for people. They ask, I wear a wedding ring. And so they ask, where's your husband? Is he involved? And they love to ask me that question. And I'm just like, no, he's not involved. I love my husband. He's very successful, but he's successful in his own job.
Yeah.
And I have a general manager now who's younger. I just hired him. And they always think he is my dad's son and that he's running the restaurant.
Isn't that interesting?
And I just look at him. I'm like, you just started here. Like, what are you talking about? But it happens a lot where people, yes, they always ask, do you have someone helping you? And of course I have someone helping you. I have a whole team.
So what advice would you give to someone else who's in your shoes, much like, exactly where you are at their stage of life? and encounter something like that I'm sure you get it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to our audience?
I would say not to take it personally.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think one of the things I learned is I worked for there was a lot of men on my team at Four Seasons. And when a woman started, I would kind of also be apprehensive about her and be like, oh, I don't know if she'll be able to handle that. I don't know if she'll be strong enough to hang with the guys. And I caught myself doing that when I was first starting out. That was like my first time, right? Because I was in with the guys, I could handle myself, and I was like, oh, I got this. And then I'd see another woman get hired, and I'd be like, oh, I don't know if she's really going to make it here. It was a hard business. It's a hard business no matter what gender you are. It's a tough business,
right,
especially working with that kind of clientele. And so you find yourself kind of doing the same thing when you're around men. And kind of again, it wasn't that you were questioning her abilities. It was just kind of I was questioning her abilities. And so I think what I learned growing up as a young woman in business is that support other women. If you see her walking through that door, go up, say hello to her, make her your friend, be her ally, because she is going to deal with that. And you don't want to be on the other side. And that's the same thing I deal with every day. I don't work with other women as much. I've been building a women team. I've hired a lot more women since I started. But anytime someone tells me that, I just laugh at them and I'm just like, yep, well, sometimes if I'm in a bad mood, then I maybe say things a little too, I'm like, well, I'm definitely more qualified than my father was at my age. I have said that before and I don't think it's right, but I definitely just say, don't take it personally because they're not coming from an ill will. They're just not, they're not thinking about it. Doesn't make sense. It's not, maybe it's their age too, right? They grew up in a different time. And also I am wearing your wedding ring. So I understand they want to ask about my husband, and just not to take it personally and just support other women because don't be the person that also puts women down just because you think you're good at your job.
That's excellent advice. Excellent advice. So question, Madalyn, who's been the biggest mentor in your life or mentors?
Yes. Well, I think my grandfather is a big mentor. I never met him, but his story always, and people that I meet all the time, they talk about him and tell me stories about him. And I think we would have really gotten along.
You never met your grandfather?
Never met my grandfather.
Oh, wow.
Yes. He died before I was born. Okay. So I think I look to him sometimes like, oh, I really want to carry on his legacy and I want to create this memory for him because this was his last kind of dying wish in a sense. And then really I had a fabulous boss, Amir. He was a fantastic boss. He was my first boss at Four Seasons. And he was really that empathetic leader. And I learned so much from him. And I wanted so badly to get out of the manager and training program and go back to the front desk because I loved it so much and I wanted to work with him. And he denied my application. He told me,
why is that?
He said, you're great. You're perfect for this role. You definitely can get hired. But I think it would do more for your career if you stayed and finished the program and learned everything you needed to know and then came and started here as a leader.
That's a great mentor.
He was an amazing mentor. I was pretty upset when he denied my application because I was like, come on, Amir. You said I was great. You said I could do the job.
He saw the vision.
He saw the vision.
He saw what you could do.
Yes. And he denied my application. And it was literally the best thing that could have ever happened to me.
That's awesome.
And so I just think when people give you advice and you trust them and they maybe give you harsh advice, just take it and, roll with it because they're just doing it for your best interest in most of the cases.
That's great. So what's next for Wally's and what's next for, Madalyn Botello Restaurateur?
I think we're just going to keep rolling. I mean, every season is a different season, bringing on a new generation, really exposing them to who we are. I think we have a lot to offer. We have great food. We have bar bites, we have happy hour, we have live music. I know people sometimes get turned off by our, interior, but I think knowing the history of the interior is really the best part. It's
key.
Historic. That's
awesome.
They're like, oh, change it. I'm like, why? Why would I change it? You're in history.
Can't do that.
It is, we're trying to preserve something that is getting lost. Like some people are building supper clubs and trying to go back to those old school restaurants, dark restaurants. Well, we are that.
Yeah, you're already ahead of the curve,
were there.
Right?
So I think just introducing people to that and just introducing people to like a level of dining that, is relaxed. We're not trying to turn your table. We're not trying to get you out of there. Maybe on holidays when I've got 700 people, yes, I'm maybe trying to turn your table, but not on a night like a Friday night or a Saturday night, right? We're here to let you enjoy, get you to relax and just enjoy a great atmosphere and just come and meet us, because I'm pretty much there every night. My management is there every night. I've got great staff, and we just want to, we want to meet you and we want to create a great experience for you. So we're just going to keep going.
Well, Madalyn, you're fantastic. I know one thing's for sure, that your grandfather would be proud of you. Your father's proud of you.
Yes.
Your mother's proud of you. And those two, your grandfather and your mother are looking down and from heaven, and they're watching everything that you're doing, and they're just smiling from, one side to the other. I think that's no question about that for sure. Well, we're excited to have you. I thank you for being here on the Few podcast, and I can't wait to get back to Wally's, and Jenica and I are going to have some fun and get out there. And if you haven't been, you're missing out. But yeah, Madalyn, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Of course.
Well, that was amazing.
Really good. Madalyn is, so smart, so brilliant, but I think she was that missing ingredient that was able to come in a really difficult time, right?
Yeah.
During COVID, and be there not only for the restaurant, but for her family. I think that's what the coolest part of the whole story was today. So I'm glad she had the opportunity to share that.
Yes. Like always, we have a couple quotes for everyone. The first is by Julia Child, and it reads, "Oh, dearie, dainty doesn't do it in the kitchen." And our second quote is by Ina Garten, and it reads, "I get up every day, do the best that I can do, and go home and have a good time." And that concludes episode 13. Thank you everyone for listening. And like always, please like, subscribe, and share our podcast with someone that you think would enjoy it. And be sure to come back for our next episode.
And that's a wrap. There you go. We're good.
This podcast is brought to you by David Field Producer. It is produced and directed by David Field and Kristen George. And its mix, edit, and socials by Kristen George. Schein Wealth Management is a group of investment professionals registered with Hightower Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC, and with Hightower Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor with the SEC. Securities are offered through Hightower Securities, LLC. Advisory services are offered through Hightower Advisors, LLC. This is not an offer to buy or sell securities. No investment process is free of risk, and there is no guarantee that the investment process or the investment opportunities referenced herein will be profitable. Past performance is not indicative of current or future performance and is not a guarantee. The investment opportunities referenced herein may not be suitable for all investors. All data and information referenced herein are from sources believed to be reliable. Any opinions, news, research, analysis, prices, or other information contained in this research is provided as general market commentary. It does not constitute investment advice. Schein Wealth Management and Hightower shall not in any way be liable for claims and make no expressed or implied representations or warranties as to the accuracy or completeness of the data and other information, or for statements or errors contained in or omissions from the obtained data and information referenced herein. The data and information are provided as of the date referenced. Such data and information are subject to change without notice. This document was created for informational purposes only. The opinions expressed are solely those of Schein Wealth Management and do not represent those of Hightower Advisors, LLC, or any of its affiliates.